Welcome back. This is video number 9 in the Upzoning series here. We've got another article from livablecalifornia.com. I'll put the link in the description down below. Remember, what we're doing in this series is commenting and correlating different articles on upzoning to see if it really will solve the housing crisis that we are experiencing, right? The title of this article is titled Behind the False Housing Narrative. Some California legislators are now quoting a false housing narrative that was created by big money special interests for their self-enrichment. One-size-fits-all statewide legislation has been proposed that imposes the plan of these big money special interests on the whole state of California, often focused on the southern western coast from the Bay Area to the southern border. The goal appears to give private developers carte blanche by right authority over all California land use, taking that authority away from cities, counties, and citizens. Let's stop there and address that. That's what happens, right? When you now have more allowable use of the land, you remove residents from the planning and zoning process, and they no longer have a voice on what happens in their cities. And you do give that power to developers and real estate speculators. That is no bueno. They are doing it under the cover of a fear-based PR campaign about a crisis. It's always about a crisis, right? Every time you get screwed, you and I get screwed, or we get screwed, it's always a crisis, and we got to rush real fast and hurry really quick, make a decision. And what happens when you make rush decisions? You generally make a poor decision. Add a little fear in on top of that, and you generally make a really poor decision. Let's see, the campaign has been so successful that its themes are now echoed daily by most legislators in the Sacramento echo chamber, and even the governor and the press echo their rhetoric. Their rhetoric is very believable to officials because big money special interest backers have formed private think tanks to fund and write studies, in quotes, to support this campaign. They even associate some of these organizations with the names of top universities in order to appear to be part of a real academic institution that we all know and respect, right? When has that ever happened before? Does that all sound familiar? Manipulating the data? Yeah, it's a thing. Especially when big money stands to be made, you can find scientists and, people to create studies all day long that tell you what you need to have to push your agenda and make a lot of money. The special interests are conspiring to achieve their goal incrementally, coordinating and supporting hundreds of land use bills introduced and constantly amended over multiple legislative years. Much of this legislation appears to actually have been written and sponsored by the special interest groups for their economic enrichment, billions of dollars, right? We know that happens at the federal level as well. Lobbyist groups write the bills and then hand them to some unsuspecting senator and say, hey, push this through. Some of the legislators introducing these bills may not knowingly be part of the conspiracy. The tentacles of special interest reach are long and can appear independent, right? That's why if you're a legislator or a policymaker, you got to pay special attention and really do your homework. What is the prize that could inspire these interests to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to support it? The prize is the hundreds of billions of dollars or trillions in land value that will reward the backers of this scheme. Wow. Same old thing, different day, right? Opportunists looking to make a bunch of money, industrialists looking to make a bunch of money. They're going to back something that's going to then, it's all about ROI, return on investment, right? Of course they're going to invest millions. They stand to make billions. That's exactly what we heard in Austin. If you watch the movie Zoned Out, people were questioning why is there so much money being spent to market and promote this upzone? And someone said, well, if you knew that how much they were going to make on the back end, this is small potatoes. What special interests will reap these spoils? The special interests include global and national financiers, big real estate, big developers, and big business, especially the Bay Area tech companies that are likely the reason that much of this is led by a few Bay Area legislators. Wow, that's big too, right? It always comes back to bankers. They're the ultimate driving force, and then it just goes down the pyramid there. How are the spoils created? They focus on increasing land values, using this limited resource and legislatively constraining its use, artificially reducing its supply, and concentrating it to urban megacenters. As normal growth demands exceed this limited supply, the land value begins increasing at accelerated rate. Then additional legislation is used to unlock further spoils by forcing increased density and rents per land parcel. Fantastic breakdown. These artificial hot market areas become prime commodities for global capital to exploit with new financial instruments they create to commoditize our land for sale and trade worldwide, right? Worldwide. This in turn further drives up the value and rent. The special interests continuously extract their spoils through every incremental change. Phenomenal article here. The billions of dollars created and concentrated to the already rich are paid by all of the less rich and all the everyday people that have to pay these ever-increasing rents to keep a roof over their heads. The legislation increments follow several themes: concentration of density, speeding the pace of development, and giving power to developers to have their way with the land. Fantastic. What are the lies and half-truths that are used in the campaign to confuse and sell out the people? These half-truths often start with basic economics, claiming it's all about supply and demand, saying if we just increase supply, the rents will drop. Of course, this premise is false for the situation they have created, where unlimited demand by global investors can never be met in the artificially constrained urban concentration zones that are created through legislation, right? They'll always keep you one step behind of actually solving the problem. They use global warming as another PR theme, right? It's another way to extract wealth from the lower and middle class and funnel it upstream. Al Gore wrote the book on that 2 decades ago. Sadly, people are still buying that BS. They use global warming as another PR scheme, claiming their urban concentration plan will save the planet and trying to guilt us all into accepting the higher rents and loss of livability as our contribution to saving the planet. Meanwhile, they're going to still have their mansions in the woods or on the water or on the ocean. They're still going to fly their private jets. They're still going to drive their luxury gas guzzling vehicles, but we got to suck it up and take care of the planet at a higher cost to us, of course. Tied to this theme is the transit-oriented development, or TOD rhetoric. They claim that concentrating development along transit corridors will force people out of their cars and help save the planet. What they don't tell you is that transit use is limited. The rich in a few locations use it for trips to work, but it is primarily used by lower-income transit-dependent people. Concentrating unaffordable new construction along transit corridors gentrifies out the lower-income people and undermines the transit system itself. But this theme further allows hyper-local concentration and creates localized hot markets for that special interests to exploit. Remember what we found in the first article? No, the second article talking about, I think it was Seattle and the Chinatown area up there. It did gentrify. And again, TYEE.com is an independent, newspaper, news organization, online journalist platform. It does gentrify the area, and they're never going to tell you that, right? Elderly on fixed income gets pushed out, lower income gets pushed out, middle income gets pushed out for that higher, upper middle income. Gentrification, that's the name of the game, and they don't care. See, if you haven't realized yet that these bankers at the highest level, and as it works the way down, who's making money off of this situation, that they don't truly care about the lower and middle income. Until you realize that and swallow that pill, they're going to continue to exploit people. That's just the way that it is, right? So I urge you to do the waking up to that realization. They also exploit race to guilt us and get their way. They point to past racism and financial redlining that disadvantaged low-income communities of color. They claim we need to undo this wrong by opening up all communities to dense apartments to provide opportunity for anyone to live anywhere. What they don't tell you is that many low-income communities of color have lower property values and are thriving communities with home ownership and cultures that would be destroyed by their plan. Amen to that. They want to increase the property values in those communities by opening them up to exploitation and transforming them to the places that the rich will populate. This exploitation and homogenization plan is guised as being done to benefit those communities. In fact, it is to break what they could see as a current form of social redlining that is excluding the rich. Absolutely, right? Remember, for one, everything is a rich man's trick. If you haven't watched that heartbreaking documentary on YouTube, go check it out. It's phenomenal. You can search it on YouTube and find it. But they're very, very clever and crafty at making, people do things that are not in their best interest and pulling on the heartstrings, so to speak. Just be very careful when you hear your city government or your federal government telling you need to do something for the greater good or that's in your best interest. Really, really think it through. We're at a critical time in our world and our country right now. Like I said, let's read that last line again. In fact, it is to break what they could see as a current form of social redlining that is excluding the rich. See, the rich want access to those assets, right? And they're going to do everything they can. They're not going to come to you and just take it. That's not how they roll. These are, sophisticated criminals. And I will say that, right? Sophisticated thieves, they're going to craft a marketing campaign to get you out of there, and then they're going to come in and do what they want with that land, right? They want it. The race card also is an excuse to put dense apartments into formerly exclusive communities, but those too will be mostly for the rich. I love that. This is a fantastic article. All right, that is video number 9, article number 9. One more and then the conclusion, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.